everybody. Thanks for the opportunity. This is a proud and emotional moment for me, obviously, because I'm representing my home country in my motherland, so thanks again. I was at the Human Space Flight Center hosted by Chairman here today morning, and it was an inspiring experience, and I had goosebumps throughout the 2 hours, so thanks for having us there.
Maybe you can increase your voice a little bit.
I'll try to
maybe
speak
closer
a
to the
bit
mic.
closer. Yep. Thank you, sir. So, Australia is not a country that comes up when you think of human space flight, but to be honest, we have probably been involved in every human space flight mission that has occurred since the 1960s. We have a rich heritage in partnerships with international countries and partners in human space flight. Very few examples that I have put it on the slides here. As you can see, the 1960s, that's the Moochia tracking station in Western Australia, which helped with Project Mercury, which was the precursor to the Apollo program. And the moon landing, the first human moon landing, was actually relayed from the Honeysuckle Creek ground stations and later from the Parkes Radio Telescope that are situated in Australia. And today we are the host to the Deep Space Network, which is an amazing piece of infrastructure that helps and supports every human space mission that's been historically happening. Fast forward to 2022. What are we doing now? Like, what activities are currently happening in Australia that could be relevant to this particular topic? So, the Australian Space Agency has been working on our Applied Space Medicine and Life Sciences roadmap. This is one of the 7 priority areas for the Australian Space Agency. And this is an area that we have been working very closely with a lot of international partners, including India, who are a key partner in this program. So this particular roadmap is to be released in 2022. We are targeting the end of 2022 now. And the key here is we are focusing on collaborations with international partners on 4 topics, 4 priority areas, what we call as focus segments. The first focus segment is obviously human health and performance data management. Why data management? Australia is a nation which is very good in data management. We have never had sources of data in space before, but we were very good in actually collaborating with international partners to manage the data sources from hundreds of satellites and hundreds of sensors and collaborate and actioning upon them to provide useful information. So that is now transitioning into human health and performance data management for astronauts in space. And a number of Australian companies, industry players, and academia are working on this particular research topic. Environments to optimize human health and safety in space, as our previous panelist mentions, critical, and Australia will be concentrating on this as a focused priority area, as we have strengths that we have demonstrated in the past. Delivery of remote care, this is an important area for Australia. Australia has a landmass that is 2.5 times larger than India, but a population that is 1.3 billion less than India, which means remotely operating and remotely delivering care to our communities is a critical focus segment that we have been working on for a while. And transitioning this to space requires effort, but we are working on it at various levels. So, what are these focus segments based on? As I mentioned, these are based on Australia's niche strengths. As you can see, Australia is home to a lot of ground stations. We have a geographical advantage in the southern hemisphere. We have very clear skies. We are able to monitor assets that pass through Australia. While most of the countries are doing critical stuff over the northern hemisphere, there is the southern hemisphere where you can track your assets and downlink data and do a lot of things with our ground stations. And the second picture here is the Australian Antarctic Division and their Davidson base in Antarctica. We have been working on the Antarctica as a research base for decades. And Australian science missions travel to Antarctica and stay there and work on missions like 6 to 9 months long. So we are well versed in providing remote medicine and remote care and remote psychological support to our scientists, and that's what the future human missions will be about. It will be about providing long duration healthcare support and emotional support to our astronauts who will be millions of miles away from Earth, and they will need the support, as our previous panelists already mentioned. And the third picture here is a picture of a remotely operated mine site in Australia. As I mentioned, we have very limited workforce, but huge land areas to cover. And some of these mines that Australia operates are in places that are remote, very far away from human civilization. And hence, we need to operate them remotely. And the truck that you see there is actually remotely operated from thousands of kilometers away. So we have remotely operated trucks, remotely operated trains, remotely operated vehicles, everything controlled from control stations that are thousands of kilometers away. So this is a key strength, again, translatable to space, and the agency is working with our industry to make this happen. The last picture here is some of the industry skills which talk about virtual reality-based training and simulation for astronaut support. Okay, so where to from here? I have highlighted two key areas that we are working in close collaboration with India. The first is the Australia-India ISI program, International Space Initiative program. And in all our national civil space priority areas, which are displayed here, I have highlighted the focus segments that this ISI program tends to focus on. And one of them is applied space medicine and life sciences. So the technologies to support astronauts and astronaut health in space in close collaboration with Indian industry and ISRO is a focus that we will be working on for the next 4 to 5 years at least. The second collaboration that was already mentioned, Australia-India collaboration on the Gaganyaan mission. We are not going to miss out on this. This is an inspirational mission, and there's no way that we will not be a part of it. So discussions are ongoing between Australia and India on the Gaganyaan mission. We are working very closely to provide ground station and tracking support. Great things happen when we work together, and IPL is an example. So what has been happening in our industry? Some of our industry players are already here in the audience. So the Australian Space Agency has been supporting a lot of technology development projects since its inception in 2018. I have highlighted just a few projects that specifically are related to this particular topic of discussion today. I'll not go into the details, but I'll be around, so reach out to me. So some examples are a company developing spacesuits for providing human health and mobility, company developing astronaut companion robots to provide psychological comfort to astronauts when they are like alone, decision support system for collision avoidance, critical, and sensorimeter effects of simulated weightlessness, how to support astronauts who experience these effects. Technology is being developed by our industry and academia here. There are companies that are currently working on various topics, including next generation phased arrays for deep space networks, optical communication, again a key focus area for Australia because of our geography and clear skies. Remote operations and logistics handling, robotics, space-based robotics. Several topics, not enough time to go through this. This is pretty cool, reach out to me. I'll keep going. So the last of the slides, it's about edge computing capabilities that our industry is developing. Yeah. Okay, so with that, I conclude. The key message that we want to deliver is Australia is here to collaborate, and we want to make sure that we are a part of these big international collaborations. And human spaceflight missions are, as Chairman mentioned, pan-world missions. So thanks for having me.